together. um, so we opened up Blue Duck Kitchen. I think the story behind Blue Duck is a little bit playful, and it stems from the comedy Billy Madison. When Billy Madison wanted to take over his father's company, he had to complete school all over again, K through 12. When he was in kindergarten, the teacher had asked, I need you to draw me a picture of something, Billy. And when she came back, it was a picture of a blue duck. And she had asked why he drew it. And he said, because I've never seen one before. So our concept with Blue Duck is Rochester hasn't seen this style restaurant before. When my husband and I travel, or Eric and, he travels, these are restaurants that we like to dine in. Food that is playful and innovative and supports local. So that's kind of the story of how Blue Duck came into play, essentially.
Okay. And so that has kind of been the foundation for storytelling?
That's been our, yes, that's been our foundation of that. For us, I think we started just a little bit backwards on the storytelling. We opened, I ran front of the house, Eric ran the kitchen. It was all very fast paced. And we didn't realize how crucial it was to start storytelling and really start posting on social media. Who we are, I think Eric and I are both, I myself am very hands-on, and I work the floor, I do my thing, but I want to relate with people and I want to communicate. And I think a lot of our storytelling came from hands-on when you came into the restaurant and we were able to tell you who we were versus us portraying that on social media to start.
Right. Neat. Tiffany, how about you?
So my story is a little different in that I actually took over the business from somebody else. So the Terra Loco had been in business, started in August of 2012. I started at the store working as a full-time salesperson, and then as a buyer and manager in January of 2013. So I've actually been on board with the store basically since its inception, but I did not take over until May of 2015. So at that point, the business had already been there and for, 2.5 years, well established with, a lot of customers, a lot of repeat customers, and an owner who, if any of you have ever met Brock, is very, very exciting, and like people just like really like gravitate to him, and he's kind of loud and people just he's just fun, and people like him. And so I'm not quite as outgoing and not quite as fun and easygoing, I guess, maybe, as he is. And so it took me a little while to sort of figure out, I was new to business entirely. This is my first business. I have no business background. And so it probably took me about a year just to like kind of learn the ropes of the business. And then at that point is when I really kind of started thinking about, okay, how am I different from my predecessor? How do I create that, shape, actually like think about what my message is and what I'm trying to do with this business that may be different or not from, what started originally.
Tiffany, I've noticed watching your social media that you have brought in a personal aspect, right? Sharing like when you run and your dogs and things like that. Do you find that that's something that people connect with and then they cheer you on?
Oh yeah, the posts that get the most feedback and the posts that get the most likes and the most comments and engagement in definitely are the ones that feature a person or share a story of somebody versus just sharing a product that you're trying to sell. Yeah, definitely that storytelling piece and the people behind it are vital to shaping the message and growing the social media audience and getting that engagement as well.
Yeah. So Alyssa, coming back to you, so what you're trying to do really is bring a product to market, and it's in the medical field, so there's a lot of interesting dynamics there that can make it almost seem like it's big business before it even starts. So how do you personalize it? How do you tell that story well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we struggled with it in the beginning, transitioning from our own story as a team coming together and having to maintain the audience that we picked up through that story, but also keeping them engaged as we become more of a formal company, sharing our company's vision and our company's story. Um, to personalize it, we went back to what inspired us, and it was really those individual patient stories. So that's what we come back to every time when we're struggling.
Okay, and so how do you do that well? I guess I could see patient stories in my head, but how does that actually come across? How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is reflected in kind of our shorter social media pages, our shorter social media posts. And one of the things that we've been trying is showcasing individual clinics and physicians and giving them a platform to share their experience so that we're not speaking for anyone, because we ourselves aren't in the patient population that we are trying to help, nor are we the providers that experience this problem on a daily basis. So I think in the end, we gave them a platform, gave the providers a platform where they can share their stories and their voices.
Okay. And so more, it's almost like it's customer curated content, right? That's that
Yeah.
term that I was reading about. Okay. So Jennifer, when I think about Blue Duck, um, I think I went on there at one point recently and it was gourmet TV dinners. And I thought, well, that's a different way to talk about takeout. So
Mhm.
talk to us a little bit about how maybe your story and how you're telling your story is changing over time, especially during this COVID time.
It's definitely evolving. The TV dinners was something that we realized that we needed to change or do something differently during shutdown number two. Um, I think who we are as a whole, as we're consistently changing up our mottos. Um, we remain playful as much as we can, but we want to be interesting and we want to create something that's new and makes people wonder and what's going on. So the TV dinners, we just realized that during shutdown number two that the takeout sales are not there on regular takeout. Needed something that was creative. We wanted something to do that we could focus on supporting local and keep the project 100% local. So we came up with the TV dinners. Um, we brought in White Space and they helped us brand the packaging for that. And then Johnson Printing did all of our printing for us. So we've kept that message pretty strong at this is an all local project. Extremely fun to do, definitely outside of our comfort zone. So we always talk about the silver lining with COVID, and we were never a takeout company, never a takeout restaurant, really. Our food didn't carry very well, but we had to kind of rebrand a little bit and move into a production style kitchen. And that has frankly blown up. So as I was talking to Amanda a little bit earlier, it's learning as you go, and it's realizing how long does it take to get your packages here? How long does it take for Johnson to finish the sleeves if we're running low? It's been very interesting, and people bite on that. But it allows people to see that we're human. When we ran out of sleeves or ran out of packaging, we're okay with putting that out into social media that, hey, these happen. This happens. We learn as we go, and it was a fun project to work on for sure.
And so that's kind of how you're personalizing it with your customers, is letting them know when it's going well and when it's not.
We do. And I think that we need to remain playful and show people that I think a lot of people, when they see Blue Duck Kitchen, they automatically assume it's fine dining and it's not approachable. I think when we first opened in 2016, that was kind of everybody's take on us, that an average person could not come in there unless you were dressed up because there was linen tablecloths and glassware. we wanted to bring something back that was a little bit more of an old school dining feel with linen tablecloths. And I think those attention to details get lost.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think branding us on that part remains, it just shows that we're playful and we can move with times.
Yeah, I think that is really neat. And certainly there's been a lot of changes that have happened during COVID era.
Yes,
You think some of those will stay with you?
absolutely.
Mhm.
TV dinners are probably a thing that we'll have for maybe forever. I don't know. We stumbled upon it and it worked.
Right.
um, yeah, they'll stay. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to remind everybody, if you have questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat, and then Amanda will pop in and let us know what those questions are, and we'll ask them of our panelists. So
Is
Tiffany,
another event, storytelling for your business.
oh, I'm going to let Amanda handle that. So I know I've heard, just like as a general thing, that people have either embraced working out or fallen away from working out during this era. What are you finding with your business? Is it your repeat customers? You getting new customers? How is that working out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we definitely are in a pandemic proof business in some ways, in that, obviously our business was affected, but because our busiest time of year is May through August, which was the bulk of the shutdown, last year. And
Mhm.
so that really, I mean, Q2 was not good last year, but that we were able to kind of come back from that in a lot of ways, with some of the kind of creative things that we did during the pandemic. We've been doing mystery grab bags, which have been really popular with people. And we've been doing a lot of like kind of virtual things. We did virtual appointments for a while as well too. But it's definitely something that, so we are still seeing all of our repeat customers, and those people are coming in, they're buying more every time they come in because they don't want to have to make multiple stops. So even though we don't have maybe as many people coming through the door, they're spending more money, each person is. So our basket size is a little bit bigger, which is helpful. But we're still seeing tons of new people. And what's interesting is that the categories, obviously, like we used to sell a lot of gym shoes. Well, gyms were closed. So then we weren't selling those shoes a lot. But what we were selling was trail shoes and hiking boots. And that category has increased a huge amount over the last like 6 months. And again, specifically because of sort of what's going on around us. And I think it's important. I mean, I know we're talking about storytelling right now, but to effectively, see those trends and make changes so that you can, to reach those people. So I had to start carrying more trail shoes. I had to start ordering more boots. We would go through them so fast. So I had to just keep getting that, bringing that product in and making sure we had it, because that's what we were selling then.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely nice that we're, in the type of a business that we are, that, people are still working out. They can work out at home, they can work out outdoors. And it definitely helps, is that's not limiting us in any way, for
Mhm.
sure.
So there was a question that got passed to me. Do you often hear that social media should be a back and forth? You often hear that social media should be a back and forth conversation between your business and your audience, instead of talking to your audience, which is a hard thing to do. Do you feel that this is true? And if so, how have you done this with your business? And so how are you creating it as a conversation, or are you, between you and your customers? I'll start with you, Tiffany, since we were just talking there, and
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I think, yeah, you don't want to talk at people. You want to talk, start a conversation. And so the types of posts that, again, get the most engagement and bring the most, kind of people in, are the ones that, are asking a question. So, that is kind of, you either, on your social media, a lot of times you either want to have a call to action or a question. Right. And so that question then can help in that, with that engagement. And I think it's important to remember that you, again, aren't always selling a product, that you're selling yourself and you're selling your business. So like Jennifer was talking about, and I wanted to actually like to highlight that, is that authenticity. People want to know that you're a regular person, with a, regular, bad things that happen to you occasionally and stuff like that. And they want to be able to support somebody like that they, so I think, being authentic and, sharing those stories are really important, and then engaging with your customers so that when they do comment on something, then you're following up with them and you're saying, oh yeah, thanks for the comment, or yeah, good luck with this, or make sure you, come see us for this, or it sounds like you need this, and or whatever. Just some sort of engagement with your customers on that platform, because yeah, you definitely don't want it to be a one-way street. It's definitely a two-way street, because that would be the case if they came into the store, right, or into your business. It's a two-way street. You're having conversation with that customer. And so you want to try to replicate that on your social media.
So Jennifer, how would you respond to that question?
I'll completely agree with Tiffany on that as well. I think a lot of what we put on our social media and how we portray ourselves is the fact of we support local. We want to educate people on what we have for products. What kind of wines do we bring in? Why do we bring those wines in? Are they small lot wines? That's what we form ourselves to be, is just looking for those companies that are much smaller and supporting all around. We don't necessarily always put questions out on social media of like, what are your thoughts on this? We might do that on a cocktail level. What's your favorite cocktail? But I think, engaging and educating is kind of the approach that we take, just to kind of walk people through exactly what product are we selling and why do we choose to go this route.
Mm-hmm. So Alyssa, I think you had more probably opportunities to have what they call earned media, where people are writing articles about you. Are you able to leverage those as part of your story, and how do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we've been really fortunate in getting a lot of media coverage, both through student level competitions that we participated in, which was another way to really hone our message. In addition to some of the newer articles from even Rochester Rising and the local news station here, which has been really amazing. And I think we just tried to take that, and we see the spike in our webpage, the number of pages, the number of views. So we know that we have captured this specific population's attention. So we'll try and change our next post to better fit if that's appropriate. We have kind of a social media calendar lined up, but if there's a special news coverage from a specific area, we'll try and change that message for people that we have attention from right now. I also wanted to talk about what Jennifer said about the education piece, because I feel like we have been trying to engage with our customers that are patients with our education materials. We target kind of an older population that isn't super active on Instagram, for example. But when we notice those trends and we look at the demographics data, then we'll try and change up who we're targeting on that specific social media platform. So now we engage more of the younger optometrists and ophthalmologists who are engaging on Instagram. And we have been successful in getting posts back from them by using the stories. And even though we're a medical device product, so we have very limited things on what we can actually post. For example, we can't post like any kind of medically sensitive information or give medical advice. So to engage the the accounts that are medically focused and are trying to become more of the micro influencers on Instagram, we started sending them pictures of packages that we're sending to them and even just tagging them on that. And that has generated stories from their accounts when they receive the package. So we can even see that come full circle.
Yeah. You know, Alyssa, it strikes me that yours, more than almost anyone, is one that's a visual story. Here's a bottle. This bottle costs $700.
Mhm.
The regular dropper, you're going to get this many uses of it. With our dropper, you're going to get twice as many uses out of it, or whatever it is, right? So it strikes me that that's a very visual storytelling type thing. You mentioned Instagram, that you're connecting there. Are you doing videos? How else are you getting your story out there?
Yeah, we're trying a lot of different approaches because we're still in the testing phase of seeing what works and what captures what demographics on which platforms. So we're on Facebook. We have a slightly different messaging there. We use a lot of GIFs, and we saw that very short snippet videos are more effective on Facebook as people are scrolling through their feed. We also took notice of things like, do people usually have their phone volumes on or off when they're scrolling on that specific platform? Like Robbie is mentioning, we are also advertising on YouTube, but with, again, like you said, the visual messages that we want to send. Also a slightly different demographic, people on YouTube who click through the links to our website ended up spending a very long duration on our website. So we've been sending slightly modified messages to get to them in a different way than we would interact on Facebook, where we get seconds of people's attention.
Those are really good points to go where your customers are and figure out which part of the customer base is on which platform. Jennifer, someone had asked the question, they said, Jenny, I guess, I don't know you go by Jenny.
Either,
okay.
anything works.
Jenny made a great point that storytelling directly to the customer in person is part of the process. What's the importance of in-person conversations and for storytelling, and how does that differ from what you share on social media?
I feel like in person, really, you have a face behind it. I'm a person who likes to work the floor, as I said before. I want a table touch with tables, and we meet a lot of people that are here from Mayo Clinic, a lot of people that are in town for a few days. They've heard about us. I think people, you want to feel that connection. You want to touch and you want to transform people. In person for me is kind of my jam. I do really well at that. Mm-hmm. Social media, I'm not so great at. That's why we have a social media team. They do an awesome job. I can text what I need, out on our social media and what I want to see. But in person is, it's just creating, it's showing that you're a real person. You're a real human behind the scenes of the restaurant. And I think being that person who touches tables, and I'm not in the back, letting everybody else run my show for me. I think that sets a tone of who you are as a business owner. And I think it's a very crucial step to be in person and replicate what you display on social media and in-house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Tiffany, I think you do the same thing. You spend a lot of time on the floor at Terra Loco. And someone had asked in the chat, how do you balance or figure out the balance between your personal storytelling posts, like the ones with the dog, and the posts and storytelling geared more towards selling your product? So how do you get comfortable with seeing that, letting people see who you are, and then how do you figure out the balance?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's actually something that I'm probably still trying to figure out, because obviously what works for one business is not going to work for another. And I do a lot of reading and research on things. And so I read what you're supposed to do on Instagram, or, what you're supposed to share. and I don't know that that always, you know, it doesn't really always, it's not always effective for us, you know. So, you know, the rules, of course, say that you should be sharing your personal stuff on the stories, and that you shouldn't necessarily be using your feed for, you know, kind of, you know, everyday, day-to-day sort of stuff. And, you know, we've been doing a lot more with stories lately, and we do see a fair amount of engagement there. But as Jennifer was talking, one of the things I was thinking about that I feel like I probably do pretty well is I do a lot of live videos, and people love them. It
do.
took a really long time to get comfortable being in front of the camera and sharing myself in that way, because it does, you know, it does make you kind of vulnerable, and that, you know, somebody might walk in behind you, or you might say something that you didn't mean to say, or you stumble over your words, or the camera doesn't look right, or you know, tech goes wrong or whatever, right? But again, it's authentic. People like to see that. And again, the stories are probably the easiest, or not, sorry, the stories, the live videos are probably the easiest thing that I do that brings us the most actual return on, you know, return on investment, because there is no investment in that. It's free. And people come in because they saw the one thing that I talked about on the live video. And it always drives, it's kind of crazy, because like you spend all this time doing, you know, curating your social media feed and finding the right photos, and, you know, what's the message and how am I going to say all this stuff, make sure it's all right. And then the post that gets the most engagement, the post that brings in the people, is the one that you just like flipped your phone out and did a, you know, 30-second video with no planning whatsoever. You know, go figure. But those definitely give me the most engagement and the most return on my time and investment. And I think that has to do because, you know, again, people are seeing who's behind the business. And again, like Jennifer said, it's not just, you know, somebody who's behind the scenes, you know, pulling strings, making decisions. Somebody who's actually like part of the business in front of customers, working the sales floor.
Mhm. And so you whip out your phone, you're done, do a 30-second live video. What do you decide to talk about?
Well, to be honest, my videos are never 30 seconds. They're way too long. So I'll make that point first. But, you know, to be honest, like, so I had a social media person about 2 years ago who just kept saying, you got to do a live video, do a live video. And she kept bugging me every single time we'd have an event. You should do a live video. Come on, get in front of the camera. And she kind of helped me get past my anxiety over it. And now I really am just, you know, I've started to try to do a weekly live video because I wasn't doing them as consistently as I probably should. So now I've started doing them every Friday morning at 9:30. And again, that's kind of that another piece of social media that's important, is that consistency piece. So every Friday morning at 9:30 now, I'm just going to do a quick, you know, tour of the store. What's new? You know, what did we get in this week? What should you come in and check out? But usually it's just, you know, something that, you know, maybe we already shared on social media, but I just didn't get much engagement from, and I just want to make sure that people saw it. So like last Saturday, I wasn't planning on doing any live video, but we started doing our mystery grab bags again. And it's the day before Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh, I'll just do a quick video of, hey, we have these out here. If you want to do something for Valentine's Day, make sure you place your order today. I have 5 orders off of that.
Nice.
So, you know, not planned or anything. So.
Very cool. So Jennifer, is that something that translates into the restaurant business? Do you do live videos at all?
We do, probably not enough. I just feel like it's just so busy all the time. It's an area that we definitely need to work on. We know this. But those are when we do videos or, you know, anything on that sort, those are the ones that hit the most. People love seeing that. And again, it's creating connection, and it's creating relationships with people and letting them see inside your world. It's an area definitely that we need to improve on. I don't do very well at social media videos. I hardly post a lot at my own pages. But I'm learning through my social media team of how crucial that is.
So before we get off of that, do you find that you've got one type of social media that works better for your business than others? We'll just go with you, Jennifer. Are you on, I don't know, Facebook most, or what works?
All of the above works for us. So Instagram is a very large one for us, Facebook as well. We do a lot of stories. I've been fortunate enough to be cast recently. We get a lot of news coverage, those types of things. For us, it's probably more so our stories on our Instagram, and Facebook is growing a little bit more for us too, I can see. But Instagram is probably our biggest one, and stories.
Okay. And Alyssa, what platforms, you mentioned that you're figuring out your demographic on different platforms. What platforms are you using? What's working? Are you able to make a correlation between being there and actually seeing sales from stuff?
Yeah, we try to make unique links for all of our different campaigns and trials that we have. We just call them hypotheses, where we all have, the co-founders all have formal science training. So we treat every single social media post and engagement campaign as a science experiment. So we make our hypothesis and we create ways that we can actually trace the results of that. And we have analytics meetings to really go through that and digest it. But for our physician-facing material, definitely Instagram. We capture kind of the younger professionals that are trying to increase their followers, and there really isn't one singular voice for eye care education. So I think we see a lot of people that are active and a lot more engaged on Instagram as medical professionals compared to other platforms. We are also on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, but we really haven't had too much success with finding our Twitter voice. I know that some companies are very successful with that, but we're not natural tweeters, so we've kind of veered away from that. We are also successful on our own blog posts and using those to make our stories or make our posts on LinkedIn and on the regular social media pages. But I would have to say that Instagram is definitely the winner for our professionals.
Okay. So now you said our own blog posts. So those are things you're writing and sharing on your own website,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll share that out on a social media platform afterwards?
Yeah, like Tiffany was saying, the consistency has been really key for us. And so we will kind of pre-write some of the blog material and try to stick with a theme for each day of the week. And so we're capturing people who are interested in like Tip Tuesdays, like really easy to implement eye care routines or eye care rules that can be helpful. That's where we get to also do our, if we have any cute dog pictures with like sunglasses, that's where we get to have a little bit more fun. And then we have kind of the longer blog posts that educate patients and caregivers about what does IOP mean. That was the most recent one. And what really is glaucoma, because it's such a commonly used word in our posts, but we never really define it. And if you're curious about any of those, please check out our blog. And we also share fun things about ourselves. So we talk about our co-founders, and every time we bring on someone new, we get to tell their kind of story and the interesting things that make them human. I definitely agree that the human element of even for a medical device has helped us capture attention. And I think it also sets us apart as like a newer, younger medical device company.
Very cool. I love how you're doing all of that. So Tiffany, for your business, have you settled on Instagram as your platform? Do you share different things on another platform like Facebook, or does it just carry over for you? And what kind of a tone are you setting? Are you finding there are places that work for you and don't?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's actually a really good question. And I'm not sure that, so I don't right now we don't have a social media team, and we're kind of in between people, and we're using multiple people to do stuff, and a lot of it, is new, to a lot of us. So, Instagram, for example, I is a relatively new platform for some of us, old farts. And the stories thing, like I was just like, I don't understand this. Like, so I let my sister do that. That's her thing, and I do see though that, I mean, as long you look at your analytics, look at your back, the back end of your Facebook, your Instagram, it'll tell you who your audience is, who's engaging the most, what the ages are, and so our audience, I mean, between Facebook and Instagram, it's mostly women, and it's mostly women between the ages of like 25 and 44 or 50. And that's kind of our, kind of bread and butter. And so that, and then again, those are the people that work in the store too. So it's easy for us to share those stories because, we're kind of the same type of people that the audience is. But I do see Instagram as being something a little younger. And so we do sometimes share some different things in Instagram than we would on Facebook. But Facebook is definitely probably our bread and butter right now. And I think it's just because of the age of our typical customer. I would love to try TikTok, but I mean, that's like even further over my head. I don't know. I mean, there's some people that are amazing at that. And Jennifer was talking about videos being very, very effective in lots of ways. And videos are, I mean, yeah, definitely videos, photos. We've been doing a lot of early in the pandemic, we did a song parody video, which was really fun, and we'll probably share that again here soon. And we just finished up another video that was for a contest for Saucony, that we did a really creative kind of a fake documentary style. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that, and that'll be a lot of fun as well too. But people just love that kind of stuff. And I think, again, just like, be authentic and just, share yourself. I mean, I think that's, again, really important. And I think that's what everybody's been saying so far is, share your story, share yourself, and, again, be authentic with how you're sharing that. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is that I think a lot of businesses try to maybe be something they're not, and people see right through that. And so you just need to be, be who you are, and don't change your business, don't change your social media to sort of be what you think people want you to be, because that's just not going to be effective.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, Jennifer, I would imagine that your goal is to drive people either to your website to place them to go order, or somehow bring them in the door.
Yeah.
So how do you measure whether what you're posting is actually accomplishing that? And how do you drive it that way?
That's a good question. We just recently kind of rebranded our website just for the clientele that we were kind of missing on Instagram and Facebook. We made it more user friendly. And I was going to add that in. I was like, oh, wait, website. I did do that. Can you ask me the question again? I'm sorry. I got off.
So how do you figure out, what to post in order to drive people to either your website or into the door, that there's a result from what you're doing?
Um, it's kind of fly by the seat of our pants, essentially. I mean, whatever new things that we have going on, like the last week or two, it's been the drive, the build up to reopening.
Mhm.
We didn't reopen last month with every other restaurant. We waited until Monday or Tuesday, sorry, the 16th. We wanted to kind of slow roll it. We wanted to make sure we are doing everything right and not rush into it since we were changing from production kitchen back into full service again. Takes a lot of work to kind of get everything in a row there. So I think just a matter of, what's currently, what are the main topics? Like I needed to talk about reopening. We needed to talk about our new wine list. Why is the new wine list creative? Our cocktails, our new staff. So for us, it's just a matter of, what are new fresh plates and dishes that we're doing? So we don't have necessarily an agenda of things that we post. We try to just keep it fresh, and we've got multiple different areas with the duck truck still open, the restaurant opening, those types of things. So I think it's just geared on, what is going on currently this day. Is kind of how we look at it. We want to keep people up to date every single day of what's new.
Right. So we're going to get close to the end of the time, and I want to make sure there's some good takeaways for the people who are with us today and that are watching this. So a couple of things. One, when you're not talking, would the three of you put in your social media links? That would be awesome. So people could try to follow you and see what you're doing and what they really resonate with. And then the other piece is, if you have one thing to share, should somebody start a blog? I know we talked about sharing personal stories and being authentic and that type of thing. But in addition to that, is there a type of social media that is next on your list to do, or is something that would work well for you when you get to that point that people should start exploring? And I'll start with Alyssa, because I know she's got Robbie doing her stuff on the background to share.
So the question was like, what is next to try? Is that
Right,
and
to
like
tell your story. What's the best thing that's working, and what are you going to do next to make it even better or go on to a new platform?
yeah, I think it's been really important for us to be data driven, even with our social media. So getting on Google Analytics really, really early on, making those unique links, because you can try everything on social media and see what sticks, but without the ability to look at that data, it's really difficult to know in the beginning when you're dealing with a few dozen engagements here and there. And I guess for us, the next big step is really trying to scale on social media, on the number of engagements as well as the click-throughs. We only launched about 8 months ago, so we haven't been super concentrating on the click-throughs and the conversion rates. So that will really be our next big step.
Okay, so use Google Analytics and start watching what people, it's actually driving people to your business after they see it. I love it. Okay, Tiffany, how about you?
Well, like I said, I think the Facebook Live videos are definitely probably the ones that are giving us the best bang for a buck, so to speak. And so I just need to be more consistent about that. And so that, like I said, we're starting to do that on every Friday. I'm going to start doing that. But just being in front of the camera, I think a little bit more is important. And to what's next, I'm working on some, and this might be relevant to some other businesses, but our point of sale has a a way to integrate and do marketing within from the point of sale. So, I mean, this is this idea of omni-channel sales where, you know, somebody comes into the store, they buy something, you send them an email or a text or something saying, hey, this might be go along well with, you know, the item that you just purchased, or, hey, it's been 6 months since you've been in the store. Looks like you need you know, probably time for another pair of shoes. You know, you should, you know, the new shoe is out, come see us. That's like super complicated stuff. That's all back end, you know, tech things that, but now we have a new point of sale that has the capability to do that. So I've got to like really dig into that and see how that's all going to end up working out. But continue to do that consistency, the authentic, you know, voice on our Facebook and Instagram, and then try to look into that next step of, you know, how can we do that targeted marketing to specific individuals as opposed to just, you know, a broader audience. Yeah, so that's what's next for us.
Cool. All right, Jennifer.
It's a really good question again. I think along with what Tiffany said too, the area that we lack in are probably the live videos that we need to fully zone in on and focus more of that and just show day-to-day living at Blue Duck. I think we do pretty well and we're very engaged on our Instagram and Facebook. So it's a hard question for me to answer because I'm not quite like, do we go TikTok? You know, I giggle about TikTok because I watch it here and there, but again, it's way out of my element. So I'm not for sure. It's a question that I know that I'm going to take to my social media team and see where are our numbers, because I'm not fully for sure. Like I engage on social media, you know, by answering questions and following up and stuff like that. But the data behind it, to be very honest with you, I'm not 100% for sure. It's an area that I probably don't zone into enough because I've got other things on my plate. But this is very, very informative because now I'm like already thinking like, okay, I got to contact Rosie right away, right now, you know? So I don't know. I guess I'm going to probably look at more videos, those types of things, live feeds. But I'm going to get to the bottom of it for sure.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us. We try really hard to try to end close to on time. So thanks for sharing your stories with us and the stories of your businesses and what's working for you and what comes next. So we really appreciate all of that. As we move forward with our We Forum, next month is going to be on the financial foundation for your business. So some of the literacy issues around financials. When people say things like pro forma, do you seize up and go, ah, right? When people talk about what do I need to have? How much equity? What makes me attractive for getting any kind of a loan for my business? We're going to be talking about all of that next month. And so we're excited. And I see Natalie is with us today, and she's going to be one of our folks next month. So please do join us again. And the Eventbrite is already up and the event is on our Facebook page. So not being the most savvy person at storytelling, I'm going to encourage people to jump on our Facebook page and please like it, please follow it, so that we can get the word out in the community about what we're doing here. Just kind of sharing the stories of women business owners in our community and the lessons they've learned along the way. So thank you very much to everybody who came today, and we'll be posting this on our YouTube page. So have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thanks.
Have a good day, everyone.
You too.